Hello, I'm so glad you're here. Today I want to show you how you can go ahead and make this adorable little jellyfish. And he is so quick and easy to make up, and there's a couple cute details that go along with him. We've got the little smile, blush, and the chance to make this in so many colors with so many variations of yarn makes it so you can have a huge collection of these. So let's go over what we need to make our jellyfish. And it's not a whole lot, just the basics. We're going to have some regular yarn. I'm just using Red Heart Super Saver in a variegated color. And this is where you can really branch out and go with any color or style that you would like. We've got some polyfill stuffing, or you can just use any extra yarn you have. Whatever you like to use for stuffing, go ahead and grab that. The hook that I'm using for this project is a 3.5 millimeter hook. I've got a couple extra pieces of scrap yarn, pink for the cheeks and black for the mouth. The last little details, just a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, safety eyes if that's what you want to use, otherwise you can just stitch the eyes right onto your project. And lastly, I really recommend a stitch marker. Anything you've got will work, just something to keep track of your rows. So now we have all the materials all set and ready to go, and let's jump right in and getting this little jellyfish made. The first thing we're going to do is make a magic ring. Now there's several tutorials on how to make a magic ring if you haven't made one before and you want to learn, or you can chain 2 and crochet 6 single crochets in the first chain that you make. For us, we're going to go ahead and we're going to single crochet 6 into this magic ring. So we got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now that I've got my 6 single crochet, I'm going to pull the tail closed. Now I'm not going to pull it too tight. I want to be able to get into this first stitch, and if you pull this really tight, sometimes it's hard to get into that one. So we'll go ahead and wait until we've started row 2, and then we'll close it up a little more. But there's row 1 all taken care of. There's 16 rows, so it won't take long to get this completed. Okay, we're ready to start on row 2. And in row 2, we're going to do an increase all the way around. So we're going to crochet 2 single crochets in all 6 of our single crochets from round 1. So there's 2, 4, 6, get my yarn kind of out of the way, 8, and here's a good opportunity to take your tail and just weave it in a little bit if you'd like to get that out of the way. There's 10, and I'm actually going to do that right now just for a couple stitches. Just kind of weave that right in. And now we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and here I can pull the tail a little tighter to really close up that area and have a more finished look. So that's round 2, and we've got 12 single crochets all the way around. We are on round 3, and you'll see that I placed a stitch marker in the last single crochet of round 2. And we're going to go ahead and increase again. And with the stitch marker, it's going to help me keep track of the beginning and the ends of our rounds. So let's go ahead and get started. In the first stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochet, followed by the next stitch, 1 single crochet. And we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So we've got an increase of 2 single crochet, and in the next stitch, 1 single crochet. And I'm still weaving in my tail because it's kind of a long one, and I just want to keep that going. So a single crochet, And that's about all I need for weaving in the tail. So we'll go ahead and do an increase, single crochet, and this is going to end up taking us from 12 stitches to 18. And then we're on our last increase. And I'll pop out my stitch marker and single crochet into the stitch my stitch marker was in. And I want to pop that right back in so I can keep track of my rows. Okay, so we went from 12 single crochet to 18, and we're getting ready for round 4. Here we are on round 4, and so far so good. Let's keep going. This one's an increase round again, but for this one we're going to increase into our first stitch, and then we're going to single crochet 1 into the next 2 stitches. So pretty much a similar pattern to round 3, just one more extra single crochet. So we'll increase, and then we'll do 2 single crochets as we go. So we'll do an increase, 1, 2, and then a single crochet and a single crochet. And that is going to get us from 18 stitches to 24. And we are just cruising right through this pattern. And let's get you back on the hook. There we go. So this is an increase, single crochet, single crochet, last increase, single crochet, pop out the stitch marker, last single crochet, and that was round 4, and I'm going to pop that right back in. All right, so we are on to round 5, which is our last increase round. Okay, we are on to round 5, and that's our last increase round, and the pattern is very similar. So we're going to increase in our first stitch, and then we're going to single crochet 1 in the next 3 stitches, and then an increase, and then 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So let's just finish this round. And I really like the way the colors change with this yarn, and it just leaves so many options for what you could do to make your jellyfish. Each one really just a good match for your style and personality. Okay, so we're over halfway through the round, and we've got an increase, three single crochet, our last increase for row 5, going from 24 stitches to 30. And I'm going to pop out my stitch marker for my last single crochet. And there we have it, row 5 all completed, and we've got all our increases done. So for the next rows 6 through 11, it's going to be really simple. We're just going to single crochet around. We are now on rounds 6 through 11, and this is going to be really easy because it's just a single crochet in each one of the stitches around for a total of 30 stitches, and we're going to do that for 6 through 11. And so easy to complete and kind of the relaxing time. There's not much to concentrate on. So we are just going to crochet 30 single crochets all the way around. And if you want to pop on some music, put on something in the background, this is a really good time to do it because there's nothing you really have to focus on. So we're just going to cruise right through round 6 together. Then I'm going to have you single crochet 1 in each stitch all the way around through rows 7 through 11. And then I will meet you back here after you completed those 5 rows. There's not a whole lot to work on together, so just put on some good music, something in the background to concentrate on, and just keep going. Okay, we are just flying through round 6, and we're coming up to the last few stitches. Pop out my stitch marker. Single crochet in that last one for round 6. And you'll notice as you're going, your head / body of your jellyfish is starting to become more of a bowl shape. And that's perfect, that's what we want. So don't worry about it losing the flat circle. We want it to start curving in to form the body. Okay, I'm going to have you continue on for rows 7 through 11, single crochet 1 in each stitch, and I'll meet you back here after row 11. There we go. We have, starting from round 1, the magic ring, all the way down to round 11. So we've come quite a ways in making the little jellyfish head, body, and now we're going to add a little more personality to it. We're going to start working on safety eyes if that's something you want to add to your jellyfish. Now where I like to add the eyes, and this is just personal preference, is between rows 8 and 9. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then here's between 8 and 9. And I'm just going to pop the first one in, and it just kind of, let's move this out. So we're going to take our tail, and it just kind of pops through the back, and I like to push it all the way through so that way it's easier to get the little backing on. So we've got our first eye in, and then we can kind of just place the second safety eye along the same row, and just however many stitches apart works for you. This is your jellyfish and you want to make it look just the way you want it. So I'm pretty happy with that, and we've got the eyes just where we want them. So we're going to kind of flip it inside out, and sometimes these backings can be kind of feisty, but hopefully they'll just pop on for us. There's the first one. There we go. That one popped right on. And we are all set with the safety eyes. So we're going to do another round of just 30 stitches, but we're going to be doing that in the back loop only. So let's get started on starting to complete the base of his body. We are now on to row 12, and again we'll go ahead and do a single crochet all the way around for 30 stitches, but we're only going to do this in the back loop. So instead of going through both loops, we'll just insert our hook in the back loop only and do a single crochet. And let's keep doing that, just slipping through that back loop only for a single crochet. And you'll find once you get the hang of just slipping through that back loop, this goes really quick as well. And the reason we're going to go ahead and just do the back loop only is it's going to give it a more flat body on the bottom. And once we get the body finished, you'll have a better idea of what I mean. So let's just keep finishing this round, just going through the back loop. I got where I had to join some yarn, but that'll get tucked in to the body, and you'll never be able to see that area where I joined two pieces of yarn together. Okay. And we're getting quite a ways around. Again, not a hard row to complete, just one that's a little bit different from the last rows of 6 through 11. But it has a nice, more polished finish for the body. Okay, we are almost to the end of round 12, and that was 30 stitches all the way around in the back loop only. And we are on our last stitch. We're doing great. We've got so much done. And now we're going to be ready to start decreasing, and that's in round 13. Like I said, there's only 16 rounds, so we are really hitting close to the end of this. And then we'll just start working on the tentacles, and we'll have our jellyfish in no time. So here we are on round 13, and this is going to be our first decrease row. And how I like to do that is doing an invisible decrease. And how I do my invisible decrease is I insert my hook in the front loop only of my first stitch, and then the front loop only of my second stitch, and then I just treat it like a single crochet. And that gives you a nice, neat, and clean decrease. So once we get our decrease, we'll go ahead and single crochet one in the next 3 stitches. So let me show you that once again. So we're going to go under the first loop only, under the, well, I should call it the front loop. So let's start that again. Under the front loop only for the first stitch, under the front loop only of the second stitch, and then just go through the first 2 stitches and then the second 2 stitches, and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. And I'll do that one more time. Front loop, through the 2 stitches, through the 2 stitches, and then single crochet once in each of the next 3 stitches. Now that's just how I choose to do a decrease, but you can definitely do whichever way feels the most comfortable for you. I just wanted to show you an option. Oh my goodness, let's try that one more time. Ta-da, there we go. All right, so we got that one, and then we'll keep on going. And the one nice thing about decrease rounds is they go pretty quickly because they just keep getting smaller and smaller. So I am just having no luck. All right, there we go. Talk about a off day to show how to do it. Okay, so we are on our final decrease, and then we'll just keep going in the next 3 stitches. And that took us from 30 stitches down to 24. And there we go. Pop my stitch marker back in. And where are you, stitch marker? There we go. So we'll pop that in, and we're done with round 13, and we're on to round 14. Here we are on round 14. I'm going to do a decrease in this round as well. So we'll decrease, and we'll do a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So very similar to round 13, just one less single crochet. So I'm completing my invisible decrease, and then a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And hopefully these decreases will go just a little smoother for me than they did on our last round. And then we are going to decrease from 24 stitches to 18. And we'll be getting to the stuffing here pretty quickly. We're just going to decrease a little bit more before we start stuffing the body. Okay, just about to the end. And then we're going to do our final decrease. Almost had you. Couldn't let me get through all of them smoothly. It had to give me trouble on the very last one. Alright, so 1 single crochet, pop my little stitch marker out, and my final single crochet, and that was for round 14, going from 24 stitches down to 18. We are just cruising right along. Alright, so next is round 15, another decrease round. Here we are on round 15, and we are going to decrease in the first stitch and single crochet 1 in the next stitch. And we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So this one will go pretty quickly. So a decrease, and then 1 single crochet. And then we'll be, let's see here, decreasing from 18 stitches down to 12. Once we get done with this row, we're going to be ready to start stuffing. Decrease, and then single crochet. This one went really quick. Okay, decrease. Oh, where am I at? Come on. There we go. Starting to work on a much smaller area now. Then we've got our decrease and our last single crochet for round 12. Put my stitch marker in, and then I am going to pull out quite a bit of the yarn and take out my hook and get ready to start stuffing. So we are ready to start stuffing the body, and we can just take our polyfill or whatever that we're using for stuffing and just start inserting it in right now. And now is a good time to start adding your stuffing because the opening is big enough to get it in easily, but the body's complete enough to get a really good idea of how much you want to stuff. So for me, I want to get the head filled, not too firm, but fairly firm, but I don't want to overstuff it because I want the base to be able, whoops, let's get in camera here, the base to be able to stay flat. And then once we have it flat, then the tentacles are going to come down and it's kind of going to create that shape. And let me bring over the one that's completed. So it kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like and the way the tentacles are going to come down. So Again, I'm stuffing it, but I'm definitely not overstuffing it so I can keep the bottom flat. So that feels like a good amount for me, and I should be able to keep it fairly flat like that. Alright, so I've got mine stuffed to just how I want it, and next we're going to do another decrease where we're going to go from 12 stitches down to 6 and then be able to sew closed and be done with this part of the jellyfish. So our jellyfish is stuffed and we are on our last round, which is a decrease round, and we're going to decrease all the way around. No single crochets for our final decrease round. So we're just going to do an invisible decrease and then another invisible decrease, and that's a total of 6 decreases all the way around. And then after that, we'll be able to sew the remaining little opening closed, and we'll be all set with the body. And then we are ready to move on to the tentacles. So we have accomplished quite a bit with our jellyfish. And these decreases are going to fight me to the very end. Okay, one more decrease. I got this. Pop out my stitch marker. Get the last decrease. I can do this. And then one thing I'm going to do is to fasten off, and then my next stitch I'm going to come up and I'm just going to do a slip stitch. I'm going to leave quite a bit of tail. Cut that off so we can just pull this out. We've got our body, tail for sewing, and we'll just sew up that last little bit. And then his head / body will be all taken care of. So I've got the body, I've got my yarn needle, it's threaded, and we're just going to go ahead and sew up that little last bit. And how I do that is I just go in through the remaining front loops, just go around through each one. Should be about 6 of those left. Just kind of go through, and then once I've gone through all of them, last one, I'm just going to pull it tight, and that'll keep it all cinched up and closed. And then I'm just going to take the remaining yarn and I'm going to go in through the bottom and just come out straight through that little top hole where we originally started from, and just kind of pull through. What that's going to do is it's going to help keep the bottom of the body from bulging out, and so it gives it a more flat, even look. And then I just take the yarn and just come in and out some of the stitches to kind of secure everything, and you can just do this a couple times. And once you're all done, just take your tail, snip it close to the body, and then just kind of give it a little squeeze, and that tail will pop right inside and stay in there nice and secure. There we go. We have got our first part done, and now we're going to work on 6 tentacles. 3 of those will be curly, and then 3 of them will be straight. So we'll get started on that next. We are ready to start with the tentacles, and we're going to start with the straight tentacle. We're going to make a total of 3 of these, and they're pretty easy to make. So let's start off with making our slip knot. I just wrap the yarn around my finger twice, secure it between my thumb and middle finger, take the yarn, bring it over the second yarn loop, and then just pull that one off my finger. I insert my hook and just pull it tight. And that's all we need to do to get our slip knot on. And now we're going to chain 26, but we're going to make really loose chains, and there's a reason for that. So let's start off with making 26 loose chains. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So we've got our 26 chains, and now we're going to slip stitch into the chains starting from the second chain from the hook. But we're not going to just slip into the ones that are shaped like a V. We're going to flip the chain over and we're going to slip stitch into these back bumps that are run along the back side of your chain. So we're going to go with the second chain from the hook and insert our hook just into that back bump and make a slip stitch. And just continue to work our way down. Now it is a little slower and a little bit more time consuming than just placing slip stitches into the front side of the chain, but I do this for a little more finished look. But if it's a little frustrating for you to get into those back loops, you can either rechain your 26 even a little looser than you did to begin with, or just go ahead and slip stitch into the front of the chain. Either way will work fine. It's whatever works best for you. So I am just going to keep working through these bumps through this first tentacle with you, and then I am going to have you go ahead and do the same thing 2 more times for a total of 3 tentacles. And because this is kind of another slow area where I don't really need to walk through with you through all the tentacles, another good time just to put on some music or something good in the background and just take your time working through going through these stitches. It's not hard, it's just a little different, not quite as smooth. So we'll just keep working down, headed to the end of this one. And again, if it's not working well for you, you do not have to do it this way. I just preferably, for me, it's the look. Plus with this variegated yarn, I really like the way the colors work against each other. Oops, I am just mentally set on doing single crochets through here instead of slip stitches. Come on. And again, even if you've done this 100 times, sometimes it's still a little frustrating to work through no matter how many times you've done it. But I think in the end you'll like the look. So we are on the last 2. Sometimes this last one can be the toughest, but we'll just slip right through there. And then we have our first tentacle, the first straight tentacle done. And I am going to leave a tail for sewing and just pull my yarn out, and we'll just be kind of careful not to have it unravel. And one thing you can do, you can just take your 2 yarn ends and just kind of make a little knot. That way you don't have to worry about anything coming apart while you're working on the other ones, and it won't matter at all because they'll be sewn right on. So there we go, all set. So we're just going to make 2 more of these, and once you're done, I'll meet you back here, and then we'll start with the curly tentacles. So here they are. These are our 3 straight tentacles, and we're going to set these aside while we start working on the curly ones, and we're going to make 3 of those as well. So we'll set these to the side, and then I'll show you. Here's what the curly ones are going to look like. And these are a little easier to make than the straight ones, but they can be a little time consuming too. So we're going to go ahead and get started on those. I've got my yarn, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to chain 31. So we've got our slip knot. We're going to take our yarn, and for these tentacles we're going to chain 31. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and then 31. You know, you don't have to worry so much if this chain is as tight or loose as they were for the original tentacles, because we're not going to work in the back bumps this time. We're just going to work right into the chain, starting from the second chain on the hook. And we are going to increase on all of these chains. So we are going to single crochet 2 into every chain. And that is going to eventually start making our chain twist and giving us those curls. Again, this is really simple, just a little more time consuming. So I am just working 2 single crochets in each of the chains. Grab some more yarn. And as you go, you're going to start seeing it just curve all on its own. And that is exactly the look we're going for. As you can see, it's starting to do the curl. And it's looking really good. So if you've got some good music, go ahead and plan on turning that back on while you work on your tentacles. We're going to complete this one and then just make 2 more. And then we're just going to add those onto the bottom of our jellyfish body. And after we sew those on, we are down to the final little details. If we want to add some blush to our cheeks, a little smile, or whatever kind of facial expression you want to give your jellyfish. If you want to give it some eyebrows and give it angry eyes, that's an option. Anything you want to do to make this jellyfish just match the look you're going for. So we're going to work on this first one all the way to the end together. I'm sure by now you're probably thinking, you don't have to work on this one all the way to the end. We've got it figured out. And I also want to encourage that if you have some feedback that you can provide on how my tutorials are going, I would greatly appreciate that in the comments. I'm still very, very new to tutorials, as you can see by other videos on my channel, so I've got a long way to go and a lot to learn. And so if you're following along on one of my tutorials and you're seeing that I'm not, giving you clear enough instructions, or you just think there's a different way I could do things better, please reach out and let me know in the comments. I am very open and welcome to criticism. That way I can continue doing this because I really, really enjoy it. And I can keep going because I really want to make more of these tutorials to keep people crocheting and creating amigurumi, because these are just absolutely one of my favorite things, and it's my favorite hobby. So if we can keep more people coming into the hobby and creating, that's even better for all of us. So let's just finish up our last few stitches. Pull out some more yarn. So close, I can see the end. And we only have 2 more of these to make. Again, not hard, just slow and a little tedious. Okay, so I am going to cut off a tail for sewing onto the body. pull out my hook. Just kind of pull this yarn through. And again, if you want, you can just tie a little knot with the tail ends just to make sure nothing comes undone while you're creating the other ones. Because let me tell you what I know about these. Cats love them and they will run off with these really quick. So we've got the first one done. It's got a nice little curl to it. Let's go ahead and meet up after the other two are completed. Here we go. We have got all our parts. We've got our body with the eyes. We've got the curly tentacles, the straight tentacles, tipped over head. And if you wanted to add any eyes on that aren't the safety eyes, if you opted out of that, this would be a great time to go ahead and just stitch those on or put a little bit of felt, however you want to do it. But we're ready to start attaching all the parts. So let's get started with that. For attaching the tentacles, I kind of did this in a every other tentacle setup. So I did the curly tentacle, a straight tentacle, curly, straight, and just kind of all the way around. That way it kind of filled it out more. So when you're looking at them, it kind of has a fuller look, even though you just did a few of each one. So we'll go ahead and start adding those on. So we've got our body. I've got my yarn needle threaded, and there's the other little tail. So we will start with putting between the eyes, about halfway in, we'll start putting in our first tentacle. And this is such easy sewing. So we're just going to go in, pull through, and just keep weaving the yarn through the stitches. And that's it. That's all you have to do with each tail per tentacle. And you can lay them out however you like best. I mean, there's no wrong way. Jellyfish are such unique and awesome creatures, but there's no specific way you need to put on the tentacles. It's whatever works best for you. So we've got the first tail just weave through. I'm now going to, let's see here, get that one on, and again, just start going through, maybe, just start going through the bottom and come out the top in any particular area, just as long as you're weaving it through. And what it does is it gets the yarn to kind of tangle in with the polyfill or the stuffing that you used, and it just kind of secures everything in there. So I've got the first one done, and I'm just gonna snip the tail off, and the same for the other side. And then I'm just going to go ahead and give them a little squeeze. And there we go. We've got the first one. So next we're going to work on one of the curly ones. Okay, I've got my curly tentacle, and I'm just going to come a little farther around and go ahead and right about the center, or maybe a little closer to the edge. I'm just going to start weaving it in, just the same as we did for the straight tentacle. No difference at all. Just making sure that we really get the yarn tails through the body to really get it kind of weaved in there. It only takes like 2 or 3 times. And then go ahead, just trim that off close to the body, a little squeeze. I may have made way too big a yarn tails, but that's okay. It's better to have a little more than too little. So we're coming through. A few times. And there is the curly tentacle. And now you just work your way around, and once you get all your tentacles on, you'll be able to get that completed look. And then if you want to add a little smile, I'll show you how, and then we can add a little blush to the cheeks if you'd like to do that. All right, I'll meet you back after all your tentacles are added on. So here is my jellyfish all completed, and I'm ready to add on some of the details. So this is where we're going to take that scrap pink yarn if you want to add blush, or we'll take the scrap black yarn. Whoops, where are we going? There we go. It's like spaghetti. Okay, we're going to take the black yarn if we want to add a little mouth. But first, let's start with the cheeks. Now, with safety eyes, adding the little cheeks in can be a little hard because you're working with that backing on the safety eyes. So I'm just going to come in through the top, and I'm just going to try to come in through the little, easier said than done. Let's try this. We'll come in through this one, and I'm just going to try to slide into the stitch that's right under the eye. All right, so we got it. So we're right under there, and then I'm just going to come a couple stitches over, however long you'd like that little blush cheek to be, and we're just going to pull that through. And there we go. Just a little bit of blush that kind of starts under the center of the eye and works its way out. And then we'll just take our yarn, kind of weave it in a little bit, and we've got a pretty long piece of yarn, so no problem. Then we're just going to come back in, maybe, and we're going to try to get under the center of the other eye. And you may have to come in at some angles to get close until you can just slide it right under the center of the eye. That backing can really make it a little more challenging. So there we are. We've worked it around. We got under, and we're just going to come in a couple stitches from the center of the eye. And now we've got little soft blush cheeks. And then we'll just take our yarn tails, just weave them in a little bit. We'll cut off one, and I will weave the other one in just a little bit, just to make sure that everything stays in place. So just come through, and again, it's just the same as like when you were weaving in the tails for the tentacles. There we go. And then I'll just snip that last little bit off. And again, we kind of do that little squishy thing, and there we go. We've got our little cheeks. So next, if you want to make a smile, we'll work on that. Okay, we are ready for the last little detail. If you want to make a smile, we're just going to go ahead and take, we're going to take our yarn, which I've already got threaded, and we're going to come in again through the top, and we're going to come in and place, and this is my just personal preference, we're going to come in and place the smile right between the eyes. So we're going to come in a little over to the side where the one eye is, and then we're going to come down and try to make a V. So I'm going to come in, kind of maybe poke through some stitches, because I want it to come down and then I want it to come back up. But we may have to, instead of going between stitches, kind of, that sounded rough, and come in through there, and then just come up a stitch away, and there we got the first part, and then just come back down into that original stitch. And there we go. We can kind of pull it a little tighter, and we've got a smile. Now you can give them a different kind of little slash, kind of like a little smirk, or you can even put some eyebrows across the top in a slanted way and just kind of give them angry eyes. But you know, just anything you want to do, you can make them with all sorts of personalities, and with all the colors you can make, you would be all set to make just bunches of these. I kind of thought it would be fun if you had like a child's room that was kind of in a nautical or kind of a lake or ocean kind of motif, and you had these hanging down from the ceiling. You could have like a whole bunch of them, and I thought that would be really cute. But then again, that's why I'm here showing you how to make these and not doing interior design, because in my head it would be adorable. In reality, who knows how that would actually work. But these things are an adorable gift, and they're really fun. And I suppose if you put some catnip into the main body while you were stuffing it and you mix some catnip in there, just imagine what a cat would think of this thing. I mean, they could just have a field day with running around and batting this thing around. And so this is what size you would get working with the 3.5mm hook. And so if you wanted to adjust the size, you make the little tiny ones, you can go with a smaller hook, bigger ones, a little bit bigger hook, and all the colors and variegated yarns and anything you want to do, you will be all set to make so many of these. I also wanted to re-encourage you to, if you got any feedback on how I can do things better, please let me know down in the comments. And thank you so much. I hope you made it all the way through. And if you want to send me a photo of what your little jellyfish looks like, I will put in my Instagram information down below, and that way you could send me a picture of what you made. Thank you so much. Have a great day.